What is going on, folks? This is another week of the Tread here. I am Nick Karaskevich, and this week we are bringing it to you after Pomona is over. We have Andrew from Redwood Reptiles. How's it going, Andrew?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. So we just wrapped up another Pomona, another successful Pomona. I think the whole crew was out there. I mean, for folks who haven't gone out to Super Show and Pomona, tell them what are they missing out on here? Obviously besides one of the largest, if not the largest out there on the West Coast.
Well, before we kick this off, I just want to give a shout out to Troy, Best Dressed Balls. It's Obesity Awareness Month, if you guys aren't aware. And I just want to know that he's got my undying support. So I love you, Troy. But yeah, Pomona was good. I've only done a couple. I still feel relatively new.
Yeah.
In this business or industry or hobby, whatever. But it was by far the best one. I think it was enough time in between the last show that we all vended together, our group,
right.
Between this one where it was really good seeing each other. And as far as sales go, it wasn't tremendous for me, but that's as long as I can pay for my booth, that's all I really care about.
All right. I mean, at least you don't got a far drive and stuff. And realistically, let's face it. At the end of the day, for the shows, like you said, as long as most people can pay for the booth, the way I look at it is usually 9 times out of 10, you have more fun at the show than
Oh, for
anything.
sure. Even the setup, Friday, setting everything up and getting excited for it. It always goes by so quick, but yeah, I enjoyed every minute of this weekend. And, definitely laughing, making fun of each other and all that stuff is.
All right, and for people who didn't realize, that was Antoine's last Pomona as a California resident.
I'm jealous.
As a California resident, so what a way to send him off. But we got to bring that up because I think it's become, I at least think it's become a social media craze here, across the ball python industry. Your Pomona crew here, which is made up of a bunch of Californians. We got Josh now from Ball Python Shed in there, and then we got Troy from Iowa. The guy in. How did this all, from your perspective, how did it all get started? How did you end up reeling in some guy from Iowa? How did this all kind of come together from 7 or so different breeders into kind of this gigantic brotherhood that you got going on now?
Well, we were hosting tryouts, and Troy was the first one to volunteer. And so we just snatched him up just in case we could get anyone else to volunteer. But no, actually, he was the one that kind of spearheaded everything and kind of brought us all together. Unfortunately, he's the glue that holds us all together. So
he's the headmaster. He's the headmaster. So did it just come because of him coming out to Pomona and then you guys all becoming friends? Or, were some of you guys customers of each other already? Because it's always interesting to kind of see how some of that comes. Because, you got people, realistically, some of you guys, I know, Jerome and stuff, obviously used to be out in Cali and stuff. So some of you guys had, close proximity. I think you and Jacob are at least within some close proximity to each other. But other folks, obviously, how did you, kind of build that? Where did that start? Was it just you saw a dude in a suit jacket and you said, I want that guy?
Yeah, he looks easy to approach. He looks harmless. No, it actually, for me, it started with Antoine. It was the first couple months I'd been, buying snakes up and everything. And I entered a contest, won a snake from Antoine, and he actually delivered to my house. And we sat and talked for 4 hours. And we filmed a video afterwards, or before it was. But we just hit it off, and now he's one of my closest friends. And then from then, shortly after that year, we went to, or it was the following year maybe, we went to Pomona, and actually I think it was that year. I'm sorry, Arlington.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Jerome, and we hit it off right away. And so the three of us have been pretty much, vending and traveling to as many shows as possible together. We're friends outside of the snakes. If we all dropped the snakes, we'd still all be friends.
Right.
And same really goes for the whole group too, because Jacob, I got really close with this last year, but prior to that, I just knew him in passing. And then Troy, I was tossed in a group chat with him, 2.5 years ago. And that's when I started to get to know him. So it kind of falls back into one of the things that, and I think sometimes in my opinion, sometimes people put too much emphasis on this and not on other things. But I think a lot of times people don't put enough importance in the networking and the going on lives like this chatting in the groups, even if you're just joking, not even about snakes.
Right.
You know, and that's just kind of how we're able to network remotely. And if people aren't doing that, then it makes it very difficult to kind of build friendships and stuff. So there was a lot of that. I know there was a lot of that from Jacob, myself, Jerome, Antoine, and then we started vending together. I think it's been like a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah,
We've
I
done
think.
maybe a
Yeah.
handful of shows. And Josh coming in with Kendall, and they, you know, we were friends, like I said, through chats, but
Right.
it wasn't, you know, and then I'd talk to him at shows, but now that we're vending together, it makes for it's a really great environment.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing. You know, you hit the nail on the head. I think there are a lot of people. I mean, not everyone. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a giant show. But like you referenced, I mean, I think the networking part and just being able to goof around the chats. I mean, you know, I think it was funny. It was actually one of the live streams that you and Troy and stuff were doing that I was in the chat. I can't remember what came up. And yeah, it was Antoine. He's like, oh, talking about like asphalt red stripe clown or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I got one sitting in my rack. You know,
Yeah.
and then Antoine messaged me and I sent him the picture and he goes, how the hell haven't I heard of you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like my friends don't share my shit. But you know, I think again, there wasn't, you know, technically all ball python conversation was going on because of a live you guys had going. You guys were goofing around and talking about Troy's like mirror or something in the background.
Oh yeah, dude, he has for as like put together as his breeding business is, his home business is it's a mess. Can we curse here? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean for the most
Well,
part
we'll
we can. I don't like so like I market 18 and up just so like we don't get like nailed, you know.
Okay.
It's too hard for myself to keep it clean. If anyone
Okay.
knows what I do for a day job, tech people swear all the time. So
Yeah. No, it's no, we always give him a hard time because his house looks like it's perpetually under construction. So he always sets up in front of that couch and that mirror, and it's just the guy's a photographer. He knows all about lighting, and he has these amazing animals in his collection, but his lives look like he's calling from Siberia or something. So we just give him
I think he's just burnt out. He probably spent so much time with lighting. He doesn't want to deal with lights when he gets home. I mean,
that
but
could be.
yeah, I mean, I think the other thing, you know, I think that's been really, you know, interesting and, you know, you guys have touched on, I think a little bit, you know, in your chats with you and Jacob and Troy and everyone, Jerome. And I mean, you have a lot of what I would say, you know, less common morphs, genes that like a lot of people either A, they didn't buy into right away and now they're buying into, or B, like people played it too safe. And obviously you've got Huffman in your collection, you've got NR Mandarin in your collection, which let's not go too far into the conversation on that because people get too, you know, one side or the other. You know, obviously Sunset was another one, which is, you know, obviously it's held its value really well, but I feel like it's taken a bit before people have now started to see the value in it fully. And it's still, you know, just starting to kind of crack the surface on. I mean, you know, when you started kind of buying in and looking at that, was it just, you know, you wanted to kind of be different or take a gamble, or was it really that those just ended up being kind of some of the genes that, you know, that drew you in?
You know what? Honestly, it was just Mandarin and Sunset. Those drew me in right away. I saw Super Mandarin, I saw Sunset, and I don't remember what Sunset picture it was, but yeah, those two I was drawn to.
Yeah.
And you know, when I started picking up animals, I bought a ton of dumb stuff, and some of it maybe wasn't dumb, but you know, I didn't have the foresight to see that I wasn't going to be able to use that or need it in a year or two. But I had a lot of things I liked. Like, you know, some people just have their set handful of genes they like, but I just like so many different things. So I was all over the place. And, you know, I actually caught a lot of flack from some people saying that, oh, you need to fine tune it, this and that. But, you know, I was going to do what I was going to do. And now I am naturally fine tuning it. So now that I'm not as interested in some of the things, like when I first started getting them, you know, when I wanted another snake just as a pet, I was obsessed with the bells.
Right.
And now I'm not. So it's, you know, same thing with banana and different things. I liked them a lot, and now my tastes have just changed. Really.
Yeah, they've matured.
Yeah, and I think as far as like, well, two things. I agree with on the Mandarin thing and a lot of other things, but my whole thing personally and my stance is that I'm open to it being whatever it turns out to be genetically. Like I have no idea. I'm just messing with it, seeing what I can make. Hopefully, you know.
Right.
So that whole thing, you know, I think still a lot needs to be done and people need to calm down about that. But Same thing with the sunset. You know, it got a lot of shit. Like people,
Right. Yeah.
they say it browns out. Like everything. The only gene that I've seen that legitimately gets better, not holds its contract, but gets better is hypo.
Right.
Hypo to be the only thing that does get a little bit better, in my opinion, but it's subjective, right? So
yeah.
But I think, you know, everything browns out, everything dulls out. But I think getting it in the right combinations, just like any other of these crazy projects, is the key. And with it being worked so little, and with it having a high price tag, you're naturally going to get people that come out and say, they poo-poo it, or they whatever, come up with reasons why it's not worth investing. So in my opinion, it's in its infancy as far as combinations.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at this.
Look at that. You got the new No Limit swag. We're gonna have to give that shout out there, folks. If you haven't seen Jerome's new logo, you gotta go get some of that swag he just put out there. You also need to tell Andrew that he needs to start selling swag, because
I know.
Like I'll be the first one to admit, the only reason I knew about you was, one, you had posted some puzzle stuff at one point, like a year or two ago. And then two, I was just like, man, this dude got a badass logo, so I'm gonna start following him.
Oh, thanks. See?
I didn't even know you were friends with Troy yet at that point.
Yeah. No, so it's I mean, that's another thing too, is like people, you hear old timers, oh, you don't even bread shit, and you have a logo and you have this and that. But if you're, and I firmly believe this with any business, if you're trying to break into something, you're trying to make a business out of it or make a name for yourself, you've got to have something to be identified by. Yep. So whether it's a logo or a name or whatever, the idea that you shouldn't have that until you breed something is asinine. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a good point. So like, I'll admit, like, that's one misstep. Like on my side, like I was like, no, I'm not gonna put the logo together until I actually have something to show for it. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just, like a poser or something. But realistically, like when you look at any enterprise, take any stupid unicorn startup that makes billions of dollars a year, they have a logo, a mission statement, a business plan, and they're pumping out all these stupid advertisements all over the place. And they're like, product coming 2026. And you're like, you're not even giving me something for 2 years, 3 years. Yeah. But it still happens. And that's why they get the following. And then that's how they, make money. And I think that's a key business thing that people need to realize, is like, your brand doesn't start when you start making something. Your brand starts when you decide to say, I'm going to focus to try to make something. So I think that's a huge thing. I mean, that you hit on. I mean, I think when people look at, some of the, accounts like yourself, Antoine, Troy, and stuff that have built these followings, that have built these brands where you can say it and it's synonymous, with that person, with that breeder. I mean, it didn't just happen overnight. It wasn't just luck. There was a rhyme and a reason to it. I'm not a social media junkie by any means, but I mean, there's a reason why people got 5,000 followers. It's because they started early and often, folks.
Well, yeah, and it goes back to the whole networking thing. It's like, if you're, when you get in, nobody can expect you to just start hitting, gnarly off the rip, or even just clutches, period. Like, right. Especially, and that's contradictory too, because they say the same type of person, I won't name names, but the same type of people, we know they are, that'll crap on you for wanting to make a logo or have a name for your business, are the same ones that say, oh, you shouldn't do it until you can make, so you can breed, so you can produce. Right. But then they're also the same ones that are saying, buy a bunch of females, which is fine. And then get them, roll them up and all this other stuff. But it's like, they expect you to sit there for 2 years working, trying to network with people without even an identity, So even if you're not going to breed and you start collecting, if you're going to go on these chats and you're going to go on Instagram or whatever, and you're going to comment and try and make friendships, have a logo, have a name, like, there's different elements to this industry, which, and I don't want to come off at all as talking like I fully understand it all, because I'm still learning, but I have learned enough to know that there's different elements to this whole thing.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I think, again, like another point too, I mean, I think something that you guys have showcased really, really well, like out there, is like, look, I mean, it's not just even about your brand. It's also about, like you said, that networking piece, because then as you start kind of stacking people, you say, hey, I'm going to vent with my buddy. I know this guy and I know this guy. You start putting it together. Then it's the power of, 2 brands, 3 brands, 4 brands, plus, now, 7 brands. So there's that cross communication, collaboration of customers. It makes it that much easier, because realistically, I mean, let's face it. I mean, none of us are ever going to have everything for even a regular customer. but
No,
having the guy who does have it, who's your buddy, who's sitting right next to you, continues to make that customer come back. It's just another part of what I call the marketing funnel. I'll drop my marketing nonsense for today, but
no, marketing stuff's good. I like marketing. I like the business, business talk too. That's what I think most people can learn a lot from,
yeah.
myself included nowadays.
Jacob says you're his first love.
Oh,
So,
I'm surprised.
so I mean, we've got that, and we got the bromance with Troy. I mean, are they gonna have to duke it out for like who gets dibs on you?
Yeah, they're gonna do a oiled sumo wrestling.
Oiled sumo wrestling.
Yeah.
Are they in the same weight class? I mean,
oh God, no. Troy's. So yeah, no, they're about the same height, but I think Troy's got a couple of B's on him. but yeah, that's kind of the bedrock of our whole like collaboration as far as like a vending group is we all like each other as people.
Yeah.
It's not you don't have phony people. You don't have people just trying to act a certain way just so they can be accepted. You have people that actually care about one another and talk about mostly, maybe it's 50 snakes, 50% life.
Right.
So I think that's super important. At least it is and I've seen that in other, places in my life and work and stuff. And you see people just fake the funk just so they can be friends with certain people and then their true colors end up coming out. So I think that can be damaging for like something like a business, like a breeders group that we do, like a vending group, right, where if people don't really like each other, then it's going to fall apart. But we all really enjoy each other's company.
Yeah. And I think, the other thing too, I mean, I'll highlight this and, it's something that I don't even know if you still remember that you put it up on your morph market or not, but, I go through this all the time because I'm always curious. Just even sometimes I'll look through a bunch of different stores and see what people put for, policies, the descriptions, backgrounds, good way just to kind of see different business knowledge. You're one of the very few people out of like the 100 or so that I filter through that in their first line, you reference, top level customer service. And I think that that's another key piece, like with the relationship piece, is that so many people, they got so sucked in now to the business side with reptiles, which don't get me wrong. Yes, there's a business there. Yes, there's profitability that can happen there, but they forget about that, and I think that that's, again, another thing too, as well. The fact that you hit that home, you hit it home in the first line. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems simple that everyone should be kind of putting that out there. But the fact that you kind of put that in synonymous with your brand, I think is a huge thing.
Well, I think oftentimes people will say it, but they don't show it when time comes, when push comes to shove. And for me, I've always had the mentality that, you work so hard for something and you want to spend your money, you should spend it where it's appreciated or deserved. And, sometimes, for me, I've had instances that really, I end up losing money on, but my thought is I'd rather make no money on this deal and have a happy customer that's going to come back possibly, or at least not smut my name everywhere.
Right.
And they can't hold anything over my head, say, oh, this dude did this dude did that. I'm super transparent with everything. I'll come on these lives. I'll talk about, if somebody has an issue, anything that I deal with, I'm 100% okay with talking about in a group of 100 people. And that's kind of how I try and keep it.
Oh, yeah.
So but yeah, I think it's important to because snakes are expensive, man.
Yeah.
Even a $300 snake, which is not expensive by any stretch of imagination compared to some of the stuff coming out, but that's still $300. Sometimes it's hard to afford. I mean, it is. So I just want people to feel like they're not, wasting their money on some, just.
Yeah, the hope should be is that even if it's only 100 or 200 or 300, realistically, from a breeder's perspective, like it's like, if they feel like they waste it, what happens? They get out in the next year, or they get rid of their pet in a year or two. And then what does that do? That ends up hurting all of the breeders because it's like the same recycled pets over and over again versus someone getting it, enjoying it, keeping it, and they stay in, and whether it be just for keeping and collecting or for breeding purposes.
Yeah, and I'll try. And this is something like I like to do also with like the like byproduct of certain clutches that you're not going to keep or use.
Yeah.
Is if somebody buys something like that, I'll throw in, the female or male to match it. That's maybe not necessarily high end, but something that'll at least be like, hey, yeah, you paid for this snake, just take this too. What am I going to sell wholesale for $50? And I'd rather
help
this person out and keep them in the business because it's super important.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of hit on some of it too. I mean, obviously, this has been, I think, some people will call it a down year. I don't call it a down year. I call it a transition year. Is really the way I'm looking at it. I think it's just
Mhm.
it's the industry evolving. Obviously, there's other economic factors which I don't like. I hate to say it, but I mean that is what it is. That's not something that we're going to control as ball python breeders.
Right.
But I mean, what is it? I mean, when you look at the outlook as far as where the industry is going, I don't think that there's a right or a wrong, but it's always kind of curious to see from your perspective. I mean, where do you see, kind of the market, kind of readjusting or resegmenting? I feel like I've started to see some things kind of adjust and now kind of re-pick up here through the summer, and now kind of going into what will hopefully be a good fall. But just always kind of curious to see different perspectives, different parts of the country, how things maybe they're, seeing it.
Well, I think you said something important. The different parts of the country. So, I mean, yeah, everything's relative, but there are some people that work, in other states, and the income is a lot higher than the median income in that state, so they can afford more stuff. But
Right.
generally speaking, it's going to dictate big time. Like a state like California, where I'm at, that's taxed in every which way possible, and everything's so expensive. It's going to be a lot harder for people to come up with expendable income to just buy snakes.
Right.
And and it's going to be tough anywhere. Like you said, when the economy is in a downturn, then it's tough. But what I've kind of seen, so as far as like 2020, 2021, people had all that COVID money
Yeah.
and they were spending it on, the dream, but they weren't doing things right. They were thinking they could cheat the system and then make a bunch of single or two gene
Yeah.
codoms, and nobody wants them. So you looked at Morph Market and it was 50,000 plus ball pythons on there, when I remember it barely touched 20,000 in
Right.
2020. It was
Yeah.
like at 15. And so you have these animals nobody wants that flooded the market, and people are trying to get rid of them. But I think people were starting to crawl out of that.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's a lot more to go. But where I noticed that things still sell is in the high end stuff,
Yep.
just because those high end markets can have high end money, usually through any recession. So they're still going to continue to buy, and especially now you can buy stuff on the cheap. And so I think that people are starting to realize that, it's not necessarily just about double, triple, quadruple recessives. I think, and we've talked about this as a group a lot, is people are ignoring the codoms. People are
Yeah.
getting, so you get a triple DG clown pied in 2 years, right? Well, now you've got to add in recessive or codoms, and that's going to take, unless you have the right female, it's going to take a lot of work and more time. And to me, time is the most important, most valuable thing
Yeah.
we have. So I think
Yeah.
trying to find a balance, at least for me, because I don't have a ton of income to just go buy high-end stuff. I really
Right.
don't. So for me, trying to make things that are like tactfully make things that have nice codoms, but also have double heads, triple heads, whatever, maybe a single visual double head, without just shooting for, hey, look at these quad heads.
Right. Yeah. No, because at the end of the day, if it's a triple or a quad head, even if it has one or two incomplete dominants in there, one, it's more valuable, but two, even if you got to cut it at a discount, it's going to move faster than the normal quad.
Exactly. And it's a lot easier for somebody to kind of break into like a project when they've got a little bit more to work with than just some recessives.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember when you guys had Will on from, RCR. I mean, he was saying the same thing that, like, yeah, there are going to be people who are going to be pushing. And I think that, I hate to say it, I think that was the same thing to a degree when when I say doubles first started to get hot, like when people first started making the first like VPI Xanthic clowns and, Xanthic lightning pies and all that. You were seeing a lot of doubles, and there are a lot of people shooting for doubles, but then their collection had no codoms. So then after that, they had to do all the hard work and saying, okay, well, now I got to take this 3-4 gene codom and I got to start get double hats and I have to work the long way, versus kind of working it in early. So like, I kind of agree with like how Will was saying, like when you guys were talking with them, like, I still think that there's a lot of breadth in both the doubles and the triple lane for people who are going to add and stack. Like, let's just take, a triple. If it's going to be, hypo clown pied, give me a hypo clown pied Pompeii. That's not going to happen overnight. You got to get all those codoms in there too.
Right. No, and that's the thing is you're gonna have somebody chasing a double or a triple visual, and then I feel like their collection has a chance to go stale for a little bit. Must be looking in the mirror.
Troy jumping on late.
I like how he capitalized Chubby, like that's my official name. But yeah, I think that can open you up to go a little. But
Troy coming in hot.
Troy just woke up from his nap, so he's on a good one right now. But yeah, so I think that it is important. I'd rather have super orange dream fire yellow belly clown pied than a clown pied,
right?
Or double head clown pied than a visual clown pied.
Well, yeah, because you can always go to Troy and get more pied.
Oh shit. Yeah, and if you guys need pieds on the cheap, this guy's got them stupid. That's all he has in his collection. So
that's a lie. He's got DG tri-stripe.
He's one. He has one. It's one DG tri-stripe and 9,000 pieds.
Hey, he had a really nice highway clown that I think someone finally grabbed at Schaumburg. So.
Oh really?
I think so. Okay. I think so. But I mean, I think that's
Sizzler.
Yeah. But I think that's even like the other thing you were mentioning, obviously with the codoms and things you want to add in there. I mean, everyone has their own style. I mean, are you someone that like when you're looking for things, especially like with patterns, do you like things that are super clean or super grainy? Or are you one of those guys that goes to try to get, striping? I mean, banding. I mean, is there a certain style that if we say, what's the Redwood Reptiles kind of style or go to kind of style or colorations, what is that for you that, gets you up?
I just like contrast. I like things that are, but it's like you can have contrast with simple combos, but I like contrast with like some decent DNA in there. Yeah, exactly. So I just like, I'm very big on, seeing that are just eye catching, and usually that tends to be bright jeans or even dark jeans, but when the contrast is key with everything.
Yeah.
You get blushed out, bright one or blushed out black one, it's not as special, but if you can mix the two, I think that's really what catches my eye. So I like, I like so much still.
Yeah.
I like dark, I like light, but contrast is the most important thing for me.
Yeah. Here's one I got to throw at you. So like, obviously I know Jacob's probably at more on my line here, and I know he's in there. I know he does a lot of DG stuff. I like DG. I know you got some DG, but you also got a lot of hypo too. When we kind of start talking about, contrast and stuff, or, kind of adding that in, I mean, is there one you lean more towards than the other?
Well, yes and no. So DG is more contrasted, just right. But one thing hypo does is brings out a lot of oranges in things like black pastel or Huffman. It makes it a really impressive animal. DG is going to do nice things also, but it doesn't have that orange tint I think that hypo is going to throw in a lot of things. Yeah. It doesn't have, like, for example, I just hatched out a triple hats, but I want to make a DG true ghost. So DG hypo xanthic. And right. Just because I love the true ghost, and I think that DG is going to clean it up a lot and contrast a little bit more and prevent a little bit of bleeding, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I think that they each serve a purpose where I'm not super crazy on, not like it's bad, but I'm not chasing anything like they don't have to be in there, is having DG and hypo. I'm not trying to structure everything around both those. A couple of the clutches just worked out the way because I have a double visual male.
Right.
So that's why, but I still like it. It's just not something that I'm heavily focused on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think we got to talk about the new pickup. So you just posted something that you just recently picked up in the Acid project. So, I mean, gotta give a shout out there to Josh and kind of talk about this bad boy.
Awesome stuff, man. And I was super glad to buy it from him, get that from him, because I didn't even know he had it. I just finally, like, mid-show, like in the weekend, I just walked over and was like, all right, let me go see what this guy has, because he always has amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I was like, oh, I started thinking about it. I thought about it for a couple hours, and then I went back over and was like, I got to get that thing. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's an Orange Dream Acid Clown. It's a male, but which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I love the Acid Clown stuff.
Same.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But so I'm stoked about that. I got another one, which I haven't technically picked up yet, but I will be picking up from Fat Boy himself. And believe it or not, it's not a pied, but it's Orange Dream Lace Clown.
Ooh.
It's female.
Troy, you're holding out on me. Yeah.
But you support a guy's business and he shits on you on live. That's cool. But I haven't supported it yet because I haven't bought it yet. But But yeah, so that'll be my next pickup. But I haven't bought a snake in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to work with what I have, but the thing is I'm starting to lean towards certain projects, and I've got to inject some new blood that I don't have. So
Oh yeah.
it's like the monarch stuff. I love monarch, and I have a monarch male, but Jacob has a bunch of monarch clown stuff. Desert Ghost. He's doing a bunch of stuff that, double head, but he's got some crazy clutches coming. So hopefully I can get ahead in the monarch project with something he's producing. But if not, then I'll just put the monarch on the back shelf because I'm very limited with what I have.
Monarch puzzle, man. Put that to a puzzle girl.
I know.
Monarch puzzle. That's what I've been telling people. I've only seen the one that was produced. I think that was in Europe. Someone can correct me if there was one made in the States, but Monarch puzzle. I really believe that thing's got some legs there, but I think
the cool thing about Monarch, and I think it's similar with, the cool thing about Monarch, I think from what I've seen, it's just going to be a color disruptor. So, which is nice to plan around. So you don't have to worry about it, screwing off any pattern combos that you want to keep. But I think that color palette there's a lot more to do than, like, let's say Ultramel, because Ultramel, although it's really nice, it's just very overpowering with a very specific like color palette.
Yeah.
Monarch has more of like the maroons and the darker and lighter, and I think you can contrast with a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens with that project.
Oh yeah. So do you work Ultramel too, or just Monarch? Or are you someone that? Okay. I was always curious because there's some people now they're starting to play both. There's some people that pick one over the other.
Yeah. No, I just like Monarch. But
Troy's holding out for dozens of boxes of Twinkies.
I believe that. I think they both, like Portuguese pythons. They have some awesome Ultramel stuff.
Yeah.
But I have none, so I'm not interested.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things, like you were referencing, kind of like sculpting, for the future. I think, I think Show Serpents, I mean, they said it on like some YouTube video. I think they did, like, I think it was back in like 19 or right around when the pandemic started in like 20 or something. But they talked about it's like every so many years, like I think it's like Sebastian says, like he cuts off, like I forget what percentage of his collection he'll like purge off and then like kind of re-add and refocus and keep sculpting, because like the way he put it is like he's like, unless you want to just keep building more buildings, like you only have so much space to work with, and do you want to have that sprawl or do you want to have that kind of laser focus, which I always thought was interesting. So as we kind of look at 2024, 2025, I mean, is there kind of like a couple of paths, I mean, specifically you're focusing on, you're really excited about? I know we talked a little bit about like the True Ghost, Desert Ghost stuff, but there are a couple other kind of big ones there. Like I know you got the Sunset stuff hanging out there. You already got a pretty badass male, in your project that you've produced. So I'm kind of curious, kind of where some of that stuff's kind of going, if you're willing to share.
Yeah, so I've kind of centered like my genes, like the projects to Mandarin stuff, Sunset, Puzzle, Lace, Acid, those, and a couple other things, but and I don't mention like Desert Ghost just because I think Desert Ghost should be in everything.
Yeah.
So I
think that's a lot of people now.
Yeah. But no, you know what? It's tough, man, because, and I'm constantly struggling with this, is when it comes to pairings or whatever, is trying to see ahead. So like seeing where the market's going, the trend, and then I think like, oh, that would be an awesome animal to have. However, now I got to raise it up, and in 2 years I can only make, there's a ceiling to what you can make.
Right.
Now, if I wasn't using it now, it'd be a different story. But so for me, trying to plan with that, like not plan projects that have ceilings on them. Yeah.
Did you say desert? Antoine's not here, Jerome.
That's what yeah, it's so I think that's where some people fall short, and in my opinion, and I think that doing the will route is makes so much sense to me, just because you have these crazy power pack, visual double heads or whatever, but there's so much power floating around the guy's collection, but he played the long game. That's another thing too, is learning to be patient, realize it's going to be a while if you want to do anything of substance.
Yeah. So, no, I think that's the other thing I think you hit on there is patient and risk. I mean, I think a lot of people, they get stuck even with the doubles and the triples. As I saw so many people when they came in during COVID, well, I have a visual clown that's, it'll be like acid, black pastel OD, You're like, okay, great. And what are they doing? Oh, I need to have another visual clown. They just want the other side so they can produce it and then move on. But they don't, like you said, they don't play the long game. They played for one season's clutch, or maybe what happens in 2 years or something like that. They didn't keep playing and thinking, what's 5 years, what's 8 years out, so you don't plateau the collection. So
well, yeah, and if I have a visual recessive, then the other half doesn't have to contain that. Like my plans and my options open up. If it's a het on one side, yeah, I'm gonna look for something with a something to complement on the other side. But when it's a visual, if you can make the hets and you can inject that into the whatever you pair it, like it's not as serious for me. Right. But it's it's a perfect example is like Justin has a Cypress white lace clown on Morph Market right now. It's 11 grand. It's a beautiful animal, amazing, and I would love to have it, but it's a huge price tag. So even if I could barely afford it, I probably wouldn't pull the trigger just because it is a female. So like, granted, that animal I don't think will be obsolete in a year and a half or 2 years by any means, but I can't start recouping anything from that except for once a year. Now, if it's a male, I'm going to try and figure out how to get that 11K. So like, even though it's an amazing animal, it depends on the sex and depends on what I have. And yeah, I know, mine too, Tony.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
All of us.
Dude, I think, but it's like, I can only get what I can get out of it once a year. And let's just say she turns out to be one of these snakes that doesn't breed very well, right? There's that risk. So I think with the male, I'm a little bit more likely at this point to drop more money, just because I can start implementing it now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm right there with you. I mean, when I admit, like when I got in, my thought was, and like this is what I think, put me into a corner a bit. And last year was the year I said the year of males, because I sucked at making and producing my own males. So I had to purge off, and I still am purging off all of my breeder males and, replacing it all, because I put probably about 75% of my cash when I started into females. I mean,
that's awesome.
It's awesome. It's awesome, from one perspective. From the staple side, the downside is just like you said. I mean, if your male's not as powerful, you're stuck. If you don't produce the male, you got to go source it.
Well, and that's one thing I realized too, is I had a decent ratio of males to females, but I had too many males to where I found myself only using, let's say, 8 to 10 of those 30 males I have. Right. And I found myself using 5 or 6 of those. And then I had, they had 3, 4 girls waiting for them. So like, okay, well, now I'm like down to literally, 7 or 8 males that I'm using consistently. Half of which will be sold off once I hit what I want to hit. Right. So it's like, it is tough, but it is a lot easier, I think, in hindsight, to kind of go the female route, like everyone says at first. And then when it starts coming around the 1,000 gram mark, start looking for some cool males, because trends dip too, Yeah. So, and yeah.
What are het freezers? Is this a California term?
No, it's a joke. Like, throw it in the freezer like it's a piece of crap snake.
Oh, I got you.
It calls them het freezer.
We call those monitor food over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Like you said, with the trends and stuff. I mean, obviously everyone buys into a project that goes on an upswing and then goes on a downswing. I'm still one of those guys that still holds on to my genetic stripe stuff as it fluctuates up and down. And same with the genetic stripe clown project, even. Where are you on that? I mean, as far as any projects where maybe you've bought into where they do go on that downturn, if you really like it, do you hang on to it and just kind of write it out? Or, do you have like a process of elimination where you say, no, at this point, I'm going to cut it loose?
Mine just really boils down to what I can do with it when it's an adult or when it's breeder size. So I'll look at like every baby and I'm like, okay, can I do anything with this female in 2 years? Yeah, it's like, okay, so for example, the way they look does play a factor. Right. Genetically, maybe on paper I wouldn't keep it, but maybe this one's just so unique looking, I'm keeping it. Right. So like, so I do have some girls in there like that I'm holding on to, but yeah, I think if you really like a project, I think play with it, because I mean, they're still discovering new stuff about genes that have been around for 20 years and how they interact with other things. So you could come across something really cool, or you could just, make stuff that you think's cool. But I if trying to make money, you can only do that so much.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think the other thing, like you brought up, is obviously there's so many genes being discovered. What do you think is the most slept on gene right now? I mean,
Oh,
there's a lot of them. I know where Jerome's head's at, and I bet it's in the same thought that I'm at
Sapphire.
here. Yeah, I've been looking at that thing for probably about 3 years now, and I really
Yeah.
think that I'm waiting for it. I'm worried that someone's gonna make sapphire puzzles or something, and it's gonna make it explode and shoot the price up on
I
it.
think that's definitely one of those genes that it doesn't get enough attention. People are sleeping on it. I don't have any, but I have looked at numerous ones where I want it.
Yeah,
And because we don't know what it looks like in a lot of different things, and it does have some unique characteristics. Another gene that I'm getting more interested in is sentinel or paint or whatever you want to call it. I just think that that's kind of a wacky gene that can do some cool stuff. But as far as things being slept on, honestly, like, I don't know if it's because of the price tag or not, but it's a gorilla.
gorilla.
But I think Sunset's in that same category. You do have people that are into it, and I'm not just saying this trying to be like a salesman. I honestly think that there's so many things to unlock with that gene, and it may not be super crazy, but I'm trying to get it into Mandarin and puzzle. I'm trying to get it into different things, like, so, I've made some hets that are going to be pretty cool in a couple of years that I'll have a shot to make some really awesome stuff. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of those that really is slept on. But it does have a price tag. But I mean, like I said earlier, now's the time if you want to get in some good projects for cheap. People will wheel and deal. I know I will. They can all tell you that I drop my prices like. I'm like, I made it when it came out of thin air, essentially. So it's better I'll come with something as opposed to going home and take care of an animal. But yeah, I know Brandon's in here too. He's working with a lot of Sunset stuff, and but I don't know, man. There's so much. Like, I can just scroll down the list and go, oh yeah, that or this.
People be sleeping on pastel.
I think people sleep.
I think they are actually, to a degree.
I think people sleep on codoms too much, is what I think. I think that it's a massive, recessive push, but nobody cares about codoms. And like, there's a lot of codoms. Like, I think blackhead and chocolate are codoms that are so awesome, and they're actually pretty affordable. And they're just things that make a project so valuable because they don't have a bell complex. There's no, you're not getting any Lucy's or whatever like that. So you don't have any, genetic problems when you combine them, like a spider type thing. So I think that there's certain genetics, mostly codoms, that people just ignore.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, some of them have been listed off here and stuff. I mean, I'm one of those people too. Like, I mean, I still don't think it's taken off. Like Nanny. I mean, Nanny's been out now for, someone can correct me. Was it 2015 when it came out? Someone can correct me. It might have been.
But how do we feel about the name? Let's just talk about it. How do we feel about the name?
I didn't name it. People ask me weird things, but I will say, when I have Nanny stuff on the table, like when I was in Kentucky and I had my Nanny stuff that was left over still from 2022 at the beginning of the year, they're all like, oh, what is that? That's a funny name. And we sold out of Nanny stuff because of that. No one knew what it was, but they just bought it for the name.
Yeah.
So, I'm waiting. I mean, I guess they already have the daddy gene. So they got daddy, they got Nanny. I'm waiting for, I guess I'm waiting for mommy now or something.
Names are brutal. Like, take some time.
Yeah, we should we need to create a ball python naming association. I think someone brought that up. I don't know if that was Bob or who that was.
Boardroom, like a
we got to vote on it. We got to vote on it because some of the marketing here, I think, for some of the genes, honestly, I think is some of the names just I mean, some of them are realistic. Like, I think things like, like peach was mentioned. I mean, that's self-explanatory. Well, why'd you call it peach? Well, it's peach toned. Sunset, I think, is self-explanatory. Desert Ghost, if you understood desert and then obviously hypo or ghost and then saw desert ghost, you would understand why they called it that. But some of the other ones,
some are funny.
Don't get me started. There's certain ones too that if you list the gene on Instagram, they'll flag you. I learned that one the hard way.
Really?
Oh yeah. I learned that one the hard way last year during the Black Friday sales. I learned that one the hard way with some of the genes. I got flagged.
For what?
Because the one gene is called blackhead, and I got flagged for it. Thanks, Instagram. Thanks, Zuckerberg.
Is that because they thought that? Dude,
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm posting up. It was like a blackhead spot nose or something like that, like 6% head climb. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I got nailed on that. I was like, well, so I got put in Instagram jail for about 10 days.
Wow. That's
clown. Name a new gene Chubby.
Yeah.
The chubby gene. What are going to be the characteristics of the chubby gene, Jerome? I want to know this.
Looks like a blood python.
Looks like a ho-ho.
Sumatran.
I mean, you mentioned obviously the Huffman stuff. I mean, I think people are still sleeping on that one.
Dude,
but
that's a good one. For sure.
I'll be the first one to admit when you started bringing up the Huffman stuff, then I was like, all right, let's poke around. Like, has anyone put this in puzzle yet? Like, I'm big, I think, on anything Black Pastel Complex in general. I think Black Pastel Complex and Puzzle is going to be your base for dark genes to then be able to add other things on top. But that's just what I do with 90% of my stuff anyways. But forget who it was, if it was Vivid Pythons or someone made some really badass Huffman puzzle combos like last year.
Yeah, I think it was them. They made the platinum one or whatever.
Yeah. Lesser, and then there's like a lesser Huffman pastel something or whatever.
Crazy looking snake. So I have a Huffman hypo head puzzle male that I bought just for one project, and so that female that is gonna hopefully lay within the next week or so is a Huffman hypo head puzzle to pastel mystic head puzzle. So anything Huffman puzzle I'm keeping. And I saw the rest, but dude, Huffman has some really cool shit.
Yeah.
I just cut a clutch last night, and that before with Jerome was here, Jacob, not Jerome. Jerome's fucking.
That's the best comment of the night, Jerome.
You just have to model it after Troy's hands. Have you seen Troy's hands, Nick?
We had a whole like hour and a half conversation in season 1 on that on the kickoff. Yeah, at first I never really paid attention to it, and then after that, and then at Tinley when he came off and was like, "Hey, buddy," then like I was like trying to think, and I was like I was trying to think if they were Johnsonville sausages or something that were.
You can't unsee those things.
Yeah,
they're brutal. But yeah, I just cut a clutch last night. Oh no, I'm sorry, take that back. That was Carrot G. That's another gene that I was interested in the beginning. Was Carrot G. I don't see a lot of.
Did that end up getting proved as the same as Blade? I know there was all that chatter back when that was first coming out.
I don't think so.
I gotcha. Yeah, I know that they were both reducers, and some people were claiming, but I never saw that it was actually proved.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't have a ton of it, but I did. I have like 1 or 2 clutches with it, so we'll see what it does. But I saw like a super Carrot G pied when I first got in. I thought that thing was rad.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's 220 or something genetics or more.
I don't know if that's with or without the like 8 different list of hypo on Morph Market when you look at it, because there's still 210 hypo, there's orange ghost, then there's hypo. They don't break them all out. Which
green ghost or whatever.
Green ghost does not connect with hypo. The true green ghost that Corey Woods produced, but I don't know if he ever. I don't know if he ever fully, proved that out, or if it did. I've seen him post a few things here and there, but I'm not really sure on that.
Yeah.
I know someone who has 1, and that's about it. So
that's a tough one to be in right there.
Oh yeah. So I mean, upcoming shows. I mean, are you just staying in California? Are you going to be looking to branch? Are we going to start seeing you in Arlington, Tinley?
We were just talking about that. I was talking about it with Jacob too. Like, I want to get on some sort of a circuit and get outside of California shows, because to my understanding, they don't. I mean, some people do fine, but generally speaking, they don't do great. And there's not a huge focus, in my opinion, on the breeders. It's more on like ticket sales. Yeah. So you don't get like a breeder expo setup. You get more like a pet expo setup. Right. And so which is fine, but you're going to leave certain animals at home. You're not bringing mid to higher end stuff, so you're not going to go. But I heard like the Denver one I heard was good, like some of the Reptilian Nation ones. I'd love to go out to Nashville and try that one.
There's I keep hearing about this Nashville Pet Expo. Like whose circuit is that?
I think it's just a show or something. It's like a
Yeah,
Herbst or Show Me. I don't
yeah, I don't know.
all the companies, but I'd love to do Arlington. I think if we did something like we do at Pomona at Arlington, it'd be rad. That'd be fun. Tinley, obviously, I'd love to, but I know that you got to meet some qualifications for that as far as vending goes.
Yeah. Yeah, here I'm still in my tiny little booth and I'm okay with it. Even though I can't get the second booth, I'm just like, I'll cram everything in. I don't
Yeah.
mind.
Well, for now, I'm just throwing stuff on Troy's table. So
So you're gonna have stuff on Troy's table at Tinley?
yeah.
So you're actually going to be walking around at Tinley. So if people
Yeah.
actually want to meet you, they can. You're not just a figment of their imagination right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'll be at Tinley. And bring a couple animals or send them to him to put on his table. I think Jake's gonna do the same thing.
We got to know, are the MMA matches that Antoine's putting on, is that actually happening? Are you actually
It's just it's not MMA,
wrestling
it's
Troy?
grappling.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I'd love to wrestle Troy. That'd be like a dream matchup.
I've been like, I'm not gonna lie, I need to reach out to Antoine and ask him how much it is to put the thing on the mat. I've half tempted to be like, yo, I'll live stream the matches and put my logo on the middle of the grappling.
Yeah.
Just for the heck of it.
Still a go. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's got to move, man. He's got, I don't know how many hours cross country, 40 some, 60 some. I don't know how many hours it is.
Yeah, he's got a long haul. But yeah, I'm supposed to be wrestling with or grappling with Baker or Devin Baker from Blue Line Morph. So we'll see what happens. But I look forward to that.
We're gonna put an over under there, guys. What's the over under there between Baker and Andrew here?
Which minute of the first 6 do I crap out and gas out? That's the over under. 3. That's the.
I'm gonna go north of 3.5. That's what I'm gonna put my money on. North of 3.5. We're gonna hope his calves don't give out.
My calves, shit. Yeah. My lungs might seize up on me, but.
So I mean, obviously, everyone I think too has had kind of like a late season. I mean, now, are you just kind of getting ramped here then? I mean, season wise, it seems like we got a lot of people that are like just starting to drop eggs. Like me, I was the opposite. I had 10 early and dropped by I think May, and now I've had nothing, and I won't have eggs drop I think now till October. So
yeah, it definitely comes in spurts. It's like I had 4 clutches this month that I was able to cut. And I've got 2 next month and then 1 in October. So it's my season's totally super sporadic and all over the place. So, but I usually get the majority of it. I'd say at least half of the clutches come in the fall for me. But I didn't plan around that. I never understood that. Like, how do you, so what, you just don't buy snakes that are over, 2 months old within a certain window of the year, so you don't. I just buy them when I see them. It's like they're mature. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't plan around it either. I just buy, and then the ultrasound does the rest of the work. I cheat.
Right.
spend your $2K on a good ultrasound, and you're good.
Yeah.
Or if you're really lucky, you can drop $8K on a Samsung ultrasound. And if you've ever seen the one that Canova has, man, those are nice. Those Samsung ones or whatever they are.
Mine was like $1,000. The contact.
Oh yeah, the Amazon ones.
Yeah,
they're like 1,000, then they were 1,500. The only reason I didn't buy one of those and ended up buying the ones from Breeders' Circle is the contact ones. I heard ones there was like I bought mine like during COVID, like when I bought my ultrasound, and there was like a period of time during COVID where everyone was buying those contacts and they're all just coming dead on arrival, and everyone was saying it was a pain in the butt to try to like ship them back. So I just said, all right, screw it, I'll pay the extra 500 or whatever.
Really, I didn't hear that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because that's why, like, before I had mine, the reason I bought it is I had a buddy who had one. He's like, dude, I ain't sending it to you. He goes, because if it craps out when it's in by you, he goes, I don't want to buy another one, then I can't get a good one. So,
the one I would like to get is the one that Brandon has, Nick's Reptiles. Yeah, he has the nice paddle one that hooks to your phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 3Gs though.
Yeah, no, I've seen those. I haven't messed with those too much, but I don't know. I'm kind of one of those. Yeah, it's convenient. I just I guess I don't know. I'm old school. I still want like the whole physical machine. I don't want anything that's Bluetoothing between that and a phone. Bluetooth breaks. You're already putting yourself at a disadvantage. Then you got to go buy yourself a new phone. doesn't, if it doesn't work with new iPhone, new Android, but that's just
True.
me. Medical devices don't update usually with the newest stuff.
That's true.
But I'm gonna leave it open here as we kind of go to the end of the hour here. I mean, Jerome's been busting Andrew's balls here now for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob's joined in. Troy's been quiet. Troy's been very quiet. I think he might be nervous about the grappling match.
Look who it is.
Hey, look who it is.
We gotta see who this is.
Let's scooch over.
What's up with the ball?
We have a surprise guest.
Look at that stupid. Who is? You already know by the hair.
We already know by the hair.
Hey, everybody.
Troll with the dragon tattoo.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Look at that. This is all in support of Obesity Awareness Month.
Right, because combined we weigh as much as Troy. So it's like
true.
really just one hat.
Yep.
It's really just one hat.
Yep.
So now that we have a surprise guest here, so I mean, you're gonna be on in a few weeks. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's coming
yeah. We got the end of September. I haven't even thrown it up yet, but Jacob is gonna be on. For everyone that doesn't know, my goal has been to try to get the entire Pomona crew on. And then at some point, like I was telling Troy, is I think going into 2024, before every single Pomona, I will host a completely open forum with the entire crew to go batshit crazy. So
Talk shit on Troy.
what? Yeah, I mean, you guys can, beat down on Troy or anyone you want. I mean, it'll be your hour. I'll be like the official what do you call it, MC or whatever?
Roastmaster?
Roastmaster.
Roastmaster.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
That's
idea.
pretty much all we do anyways is roast each other.
I think that's actually a good we should do it. We should host it, and then we need to host we should have people bid on who gave the best roast to who, and drive a US Arc auction.
Yeah, we can even auction off a snake or something somehow.
Yeah, auction off a snake. We'll get people to throw money in based on who roasted who best. I think we got something there.
I think so too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing too, is you can only talk about snakes for so much.
No, right. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's like my thing is realistically, there's only so much, unless it's a less common species that no one knows shit about. There's only so much about ball python you want to talk about. And then the other part, realistically, you just got to see it, do it, go on Morph Market and do whatever. I don't believe, like I said, my podcast, I'm not going to go through and show everyone this is how you breathe, this is how you identify this, that, the other. Like,
yeah,
there's too many videos out there. This is for the funsies. This is for the funsies.
People that do that, when I see their channels, no offense, but when I see people doing that, I feel like they're doing it for the wrong reason. Like they're just pushing the content.
Right.
They're not actually pushing like the content. They're just putting stuff out there. So like they reach like a certain algorithm or a certain like status quo.
Correct.
Reach for the week, and it just feels like you can feel that when it's not.
Yeah. And like I said, that's my thing with this show. My whole thing was, like I said, one, it's basically a networking way and giving everyone an opportunity to network with other breeders. Two, realistically, this is just more fun. This is more fun. You get to know, who you can shoot shit with, who you can say what to, and who you can't say what to. Now, I don't know if it's the smartest idea, guys, if you've never met Troy or Andrew and go up and be like, hey, you hear about the chubby morph? Like, you might get decked.
No, you just get severely.
Troy would try to eat you probably more.
Troy would bite you.
Yeah, he would hit you. He'd just eat you.
Yeah. No, I would look at you really quick and find something I know you're insecure about, and I just exploit that.
Yeah.
Like nice mole on the side of your face.
Nice face.
Nice face. You look like easy to draw.
Yeah.
Shout out to Antoine for that one.
I think he's probably driving. Or almost driving.
I talked to him earlier today. I don't know. He was like still doing dump runs from his house.
Jeez.
It's like his fifth consecutive day of dump runs.
Yeah, no, I don't envy that, man. He's got to drive cross country. I know I talked to him and I'm like, we got to get you on. And he's like, can we do it after the move? And I'm like, yeah, we can do it after the move. There's still going to be season 3 and season 4 until someone kicks me off YouTube. But I mean, realistically, like I said,
having us on, you'll find yourself off of YouTube.
Yeah, you'll find yourself in YouTube jail.
Yeah, you'll be like canceled quickly. Especially.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So I will be the first to admit. So even though season premiere, And naturally, again, it must be a Pomona crew thing. Every single time we have one of you guys on, the Facebook feeds crash. You guys crash the feeds. I don't know why, but you do.
So
It is.
Not enough
But
bandwidth.
but even without Facebook up, you guys still hauled the most with Troy as far as views, concurrent views, shares, and everything like that. So
well, Troy gave $20 to everyone who would watch it too. So there's that. Yeah. But thank you, Troy.
Troy seems like a super nice guy, and I guess he can be at times. But this guy has like Tourette's when it comes to saying inappropriate stuff at the wrong time.
The worst, the worst shit ever. Too.
You know, it almost gets like he gets possessed and has to say something highly offensive.
It's like if he doesn't do it, someone's gonna like kill him or something. Like he's being forced to do it.
We haven't even gotten into it yet, and obviously we can save some for Jacob's episode too. But like, you guys got to give folks a good Pomona story. Like there's got to be something. Like we see the photos, we know that that's not just a normal weekend. Like stuff happens. You don't have to share all the deep dark secrets and some of the like. Let's not do that again. But
the midgets were fun.
Midget cakes. No, we wore our Persian Mafia attire to dinner that one night.
The gold. Yeah, the gold stuff.
That was wild.
Honestly, this sounds
wild night.
The most exciting things about our nights is what we eat. Like it's not like everyone's partying. And the thing is too, I had to come home every night, and I had the kids with me both days, and so I couldn't really make a fool of myself too much.
Yeah,
even though I did. But yeah, as far as the crazy Pomona story, Jacob shared a room with Antoine. I'm sure he can tell you some stories.
My ass still hurts, dude.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say about that because it's personal.
He doesn't like
okay, I don't like talking about it.
My graphics guy's asking if you should start creating graphics for this.
For the roast, yeah.
For the roast, yeah. I think that
Absolutely.
we should start doing that. We should start creating graphics. Don't create graphics of what happened with Jacob and Antoine in the room at Pomona, though.
You could.
We could. They might sell for a lot of money on eBay.
Probably. It was really dark in there, though.
Jerome, talk about all the tall things that hold the meat from the ocean.
I don't know what he's talking about.
The tall things that hold the meat from the ocean.
So we went to 2 years ago. First of all, let me tell the story. Actually, I will tell the story because Troy, he butchers it every time. So two things. I told Troy when he came out, I owe him a steak dinner. Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to buy him a steak dinner.
Oh, I remember this story.
I picked a place to go eat, and I changed up a place. Troy says this because I was trying to kiss Miguel's ass, so we would go. That's not true. He's over here playing. I see a nod. That's not true. And I'd been to this place, and it was amazing. Well, they fallen off a little bit, and so the food wasn't great. It took forever to get the food. And then because we had so many people at our table, there was a minimum. So we sat down, and I called ahead and told them it was Antoine's birthday. So we had free dessert, and we had private menus printed out with Happy Birthday Antoine at the top. So, but because of that, we had to spend a certain amount. And somebody may or may not have ordered a couple seafood towers that Troy won't shut the hell up about. You think he sold enough pies to pay for his share of it, but no, he won't shut up about it. So, and then I forgot to buy a steak at the end of the night.
Yeah, I heard that. I remember on the one live, and I was half tempted, and I was like, I don't know, like I like Troy. Troy's a good guy. Obviously, that's why I'm wearing his shit. But like I was half tempted, but I didn't know if you were actually gonna be a Tinley. I was gonna be like, you know what? I'm like, maybe I'll just I'll give Andrew a stipend if he comes to Tinley to go buy a good steak.
Oh, I bought him his stupid steak this last trip, which he said he didn't like because now he can't say anything about it anymore.
There's another thing. We can raise charity for a steak. Andrew's GoFundMe steaks.
Yeah, well, yeah, we should have a charity for something else. Troy's pre-diabetic, so we want to make sure he doesn't slip into full. Yeah, you see the amount of salt this guy eats. You wouldn't be surprised his hands are as chubby as they are.
Dude, when he squeezes his fingers, when you shake his hand, butter comes out of his hand.
Well, not only that, there's no
salted butter.
There's no bones in his hand. It's just like
it's
amorphous blob.
I got a good Pomona story, and I'm not going to tell you how it happened, but apparently, according to Antoine, Troy's penis is like a little baby binky. You know, like that little rubber part? That's not Troy's penis. That's what I heard.
We'll have to bring that up when we get Antoine on here, as far as how he knows that.
Yeah, he should be a great
question.
story.
What's
the night I had with Antoine? Because he wasn't there, as far as I remember.
I don't know, but I blacked out after dinner. So
You blacked out, but you felt it in the morning.
yeah,
Literally.
Oh man, we're gonna get taken down. We're gonna get banned.
no, we're good.
No, I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm always at Tinley. So like, if you go, I don't have a cool spot like Troy, so I'm not in one of the cool aisles, but like I'm not on the edge. So you know where like the hook is? I call it the hockey stick. You know, it like bends.
Mm-hmm.
Right after that bend, next to Hardwire Exotics, you'll see my.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully there'll still be something good there, but realistically, puzzle stuff's not dropping until October. So no DG puzzles. What's up? No, all of my
your
puzzle clutches, my triple hats for Cryptic Hypo puzzle. Those are probably second here to go to drop. I mean, those probably won't drop till November at the earliest. DG Cryptic, Cryptic Doublehead DG puzzles. Those won't drop probably till December at this point. That girl's just hitting like 20 millimeters at best. So it's still early. So, I mean, I got lucky. I had one really good clutch from, middle of the season from the DG Pied project, and then everything else is going to be late. So
that's how it is for me every year at all these shows. So they're always like right before stuff. Like I'll have a clutch or a clutch that's hatching, but it's too early to bring it to the show. Like I'll have it all timed so weird. Which is weird because we go to shows, like every 6 months or something?
Right.
It still works out that way for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's how it was for me. I mean, my acid stuff hit the real end of last year, and that's why like almost everything acid that's still sitting in my morph market is like end of 2022, like hatch November, hatch December, because you had 30 days to move it. Otherwise it, closes up shop here, at least in the Midwest. So
where are you at again?
I'm out in Chicago. So I call it Chicago, but literally I can see Wisconsin from my house. So
I was out there for a couple months during Tinley last year. That's why I was able to go. What city are you in?
Small town called Wonder Lake. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's literally like my subdivision. There's a lake, and then there's some farms, and that's about it. But
that was in like Lake Forest.
Okay. Yeah. So Lake Forest, I used to live about 45 minutes north of there, and then I moved farther west of there. Okay. And it's just because taxes are expensive. While we're not California expensive, we're still expensive out here. So the farther northwest you go, the cheaper your taxes go in Illinois.
Got it.
So I moved as far as I could and still get into the city with a train. So
all right, it's cool sitting in. I'm gonna go take care of some business real quick.
Yeah, man, you gotta go clean rats.
No, I got cable. I grabbed too many of one size. I know what I did wrong now, but anyways, I have a bunch of extra small rats that didn't get fed that I'm just dropping back off.
Yeah.
And I'm picking some what are they called again? Kenyan bush.
Oh yeah, we can't say ASFs.
Yeah.
Kenyan bush mice.
Yeah.
But no worries, man. Hey, we're hitting a little bit past the hour.
Yeah. Thanks for having this podcast with Andrew so that you could get me on. I know that's the only reason why you invited Andrew on the podcast because you wanted me.
He's such a big get. Everyone knows that.
No, I know. Well, it's fun. We'll have to talk about that when Jacob's actually on. What's funny is I didn't know, like I kept seeing Jacob's stuff like pop up in my feeds. And I think Jacob was even following me before the podcast and I was following him, but I never connected that Jacob and Civil Serpents were the same person for like 6 months until you guys had a live once. And then
sounds like good marketing.
I was like, I didn't realize that those were the same people. And I was like, I don't know. I just followed for all the Desert Ghost stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a mess.
But no, man, I mean, we're hitting past the hour. I mean, I know you got kids and you've got a family and you need to relax before your wedding.
Ugh. Don't remind me. I'm just kidding.
So
yeah, it's we're doing homeschooling now too. So we had homeschooling for 2 of the girls. And then we got the baby, and my oldest is back in. I just got back from Virginia Beach. Her stepdad's in the Marine Corps, so she's over there, starts high school. And so I was over there getting her settled in, and so it's just the 3 girls here. But it is that baby really adds a lot to the
Oh
equation.
yeah. Well, yeah. But I'll try to give you some time here so that way you can enjoy the rest of your family and enjoy it with Jacob. But like I said, from my side, I appreciate having you on. Definitely want to kind of keep getting you guys all on, and then I think I say we got to start doing that. Whether it's 2 times a year, 4 times a year before a few weeks before every Pomona or every big show, we should try to get the whole crew on.
I'll tell you what would be good, and it would have the full roast element, as if we did it in like Pomona or Tinley, where we have like a table, like a round table, or like even whatever. But throw some tables together and film that, and at least you're not going to hear nobody's gonna be cutting out on each other, and nobody's Wi-Fi is gonna get all screwy. And we could look at each other in the faces and make fun of our deficiencies.
Yeah, I can totally do that. I'll bring the stuff to Tinley. Like I said, I'm local, so that's easy one for me.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
We can
we'll be there in October. So I want to say, I don't know if Jerome's still in here. I don't know if he's going. I think he is. I know Antoine's going and Jacob's going.
Yeah, I feel bad. Don't even get me started on the Antoine thing. I think it's been like 3 years in a row he's listed what booth he's going to be at, and then every single year I've never actually stopped by his booth, and I'm like, oh shit.
At Tinley?
Yeah.
I didn't even know he vended Tinley.
I think sometimes he does, or he'll put stuff on somebody's booth. I remember the one year he's like, I'll be at booth like whatever, and I was like, oh, let's stop by, and then you realize that literally it's like 2 aisles over from you, and you don't do it, and you feel like
isn't that crazy though about the shows? It's like, especially if you're vending it, like you have no time to really get out there and mingle and hang out. You forget where everyone's at. You forget to talk to people.
My wife time boxed me. She had to time box me because I have, both of my breeding businesses. I have both my snake side and my tarantula side, and she's like, you can't be gone for like an hour. If you're gone for an hour talking snakes with someone trying to go grab some snake or something like that off like Brock's table or something, she's like, she can't hold her own. Like with the tarantula side, it just gets too many Latin names. The snake side, I make the joke every single time I'm away from the table. She sells more snakes than I do. So sometimes I just don't want to be at the table.
Is that her shock collar comment?
Yeah, it probably is.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that's an ongoing joke because, there were some Tinleys. There was one, I can't remember who I was doing deals with or whatnot. And I was probably gone for like 45 minutes. And then I came back and it was like 3-4 snakes later. And she's like, what the fuck happened? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I got to be time boxed. Otherwise I'd never be at the table. But she's our A+ salesperson, even though she won't say it, but
that's awesome.
That's
awesome to have that support, man. It really
is. She's what makes it run. I hate to say it. I just play with the snakes and with the tarantulas and breed them and stuff. But, realistically, I mean, making sure that the table actually looks presentable and like set up nice.
Well, that's a woman's thing too. That's perfect for them because a lot of times they can come in and dial it in.
Oh yeah. No, she dials all that in, and even like I'll make the joke like when I started refining my collection, she's the reason I got into puzzles. So if anyone saw me when I was on another person's podcast like a year or two ago, they were asking me about that, and I said, well, she's the reason I got into puzzle. Because I said I need to get something different, and she was the one. She was like, "You should get this bamboo puzzle," and that was history with it when I bought
smart woman right there.
Yeah, she's the reason I got into puzzle. She's the reason. Like Orange Dream is now in my collection. I didn't have any OD until last year when I bought the Pestle OD cryptic puzzle from Ozzy. So I mean, she's the reason, honestly, for a lot of my cool shit. She's the reason I'm in Sunset. When I first wanted to get in and she was seeing the pictures and she was like, I don't really know. And then she saw it in person. She's like, that's really cool. So that's why last Tinley, when Brock had yellow belly sunset males on the table, I snagged one and said, screw it. We're just moving it into puzzle and see what the heck happens.
Dude, that's awesome.
So yeah, she's the secret genius in the background. I'll just give her credit for that one.
Well, there you go. Shout out to Dakota.
Exactly. But yeah, man. I mean, if you're coming out to Tinley, definitely stop by, come say hi. And I think for sure. I think we start organizing that. I'll have to. I don't know who's the best organizer, if that's you or Troy. I don't know if we could do group messages on Instagram, but I'll find a way.
I was just before you took off. They're gonna do we tell them to do a live roast at Tinley.
Yeah, Troy's back. Hey, Troy. Yeah, Troy, you're back now. Well, you were gone.
That was a big sandwich, Troy. Jesus. Couldn't wait till after the show's over.
Well, while you were gone, Troy, we have decided that we are going to try to do a full out full Pomona crew roast session. We might do one maybe after Tinley or something, one of the days or something like that. And maybe we'll even have people. We'll do a raise money to pay based on who does the best roast or something. People will donate it, and then it'll all go to US Arc or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I think I think that's what we need to do. So Troy, we need your expertise as far as herding the cats here.
All right, buddy. Later, man. I was creating money for my family, you piece of S. Were you? What were you doing?
Selling snakes.
We're calling horse S on that. I'll join that and not say a word. That's fine. We could just look at you.
Come on, Troy. You can't not say a word. Troy has the best one-liners I've ever heard. I still got to throw this up. Like when we were this is when I first really got to know Troy, is St. Louis NARBC last year. And we're all down a bunch of the vendors and stuff. And he makes this comment about one of the other guys with Meatballs, the alien. And it was so perfect and just well-timed, man. Like he's so unassuming. Like he's such a nice guy that when he throws that in, it's funny as crap.
Yeah. He like shivs you in the liver when you're not expecting it.
Yeah, no, I know. But like I said, that's I dig that. It's like silent but deadly.
Yeah, it's the kind of guy you want to keep away from your daughter. They just lure him in, and Mr. Nice Guy Act, and then they crush him.
I think Troy might have some comebacks for that one. I think you opened yourself up.
Physically and emotionally. Crush them. Yeah.
We won't bring that one up too much because I think your daughter's his like super fan. She was repping his stuff at Pomona.
Get her for that. She's getting a stipend for that. But yeah, she did. She was a trader though. She tossed my shirt off like right in the beginning of the day and then threw his on. Didn't sell a damn snake that day too. What do you know about that?
Yeah. But alrighty though. I mean, like I said, we're coming past the hour here. We can definitely keep grinding on, but I also want to make sure, like I said, you got some time to relax. You got a wedding coming up here and sooner than later.
Yeah.
So for everyone that doesn't know, Andrew's getting married. So wish him well. Don't tell him any horror stories.
Yeah, well, it's my third engagement, so hopefully this one sticks. But I've never been married before.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, this one's a keeper. So it'll be good. It's in October. A lot of these guys in the group will be in the wedding actually. So Troy, Jacob, Jerome, and Antoine are going to actually be in the wedding.
Look at that. And everyone, if you want to send him a wedding gift, you can just go send him some snakes.
You can buy snakes for me.
Yeah, go send him snakes.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a good time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, right on. Appreciate having you on. And like I said, definitely looking forward to, trying to get you guys all on. And this is Nick Karaszkiewicz with The Tread. Next week, folks, if you want to learn about arachnids, venom research, we're going to have arachnid rarities on and talk about some of the venom research done with scorpions and tarantulas. So stay tuned, folks. But talk to you all next week. Take care.
Thank you.